Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hope everybody is doing wonderful. I certainly am. And since I'm doing wonderful, I'm coming with a happy vlog today. I had something serious I want to talk about, but I'm going to talk about that later on. I'm still trying to gather my thoughts up together about that situation, and then I'll go ahead and I'll talk about that later on. But what I do want to talk about today is about being supported in a marriage. And I haven't talked about marriage in quite a while. I haven't done a blog or a blog about marriage and what it means to be married, especially when you're first getting married and everything. So and how that kind of, unfolds itself. But today I'm going to talk about, and this is called For the Good Times, but I'm not really talking about good times. I'm talking about the really tough times of a marriage where things are maybe traumatic and sad, or there are, fights and disagreements and stuff, because that happens in every relationship. You will not have a relationship where you don't argue. And if you do have a relationship where you don't argue, something is wrong. But you have to argue in a way that's proper. But we're not even talking about that sort of thing. We're talking about a traumatic event. And I'm going to talk particularly about the event that happened to me about a month ago with my miscarriage, and how my husband was so supportive, and how it's important that you find someone who's supportive of you during really traumatic times. Um, Today I've been out shopping and out and about doing a little retail therapy, and I bought some lip pencils from MAC and some lip gloss, some really pretty lip gloss. So I've got a new kind of nude lip thing going on here, and I'm just loving it and stuff. And then I had a little, bought some shoes and stuff, so I'm real happy and stuff. So today I'm feeling happy, and that's one of the ways that my husband supports me. Um, I don't go over whatever our budget is with stuff, but we happen to have some extra, little extra cash and stuff, some, disposable income here and everything. And so I've decided to go shopping. Now, I went out and bought him a pair of shoes because he needed a new pair of work shoes. And my husband never buys shoes for himself, so he needed a new pair of work shoes. And I went out and bought him a new pair of work shoes, and I bought myself two pairs of shoes and stuff. So I'm really happy about buying shoes and doing stuff that I need to do for myself and having a supportive husband in that. But I'm more excited about having a supportive husband in the way that he supported me during this miscarriage. He was a parent too, and was helping parent as I was pregnant, helping in the whole process at the doctor's appointments and stuff, trying to get as much information as he could and sort of monitoring me, making sure I did the stuff that I needed to do. And I would call my husband every day at 11 o'clock and let him know that I was okay. I was up and about and doing stuff. That way he knew I was okay, because I was taking insulin at the point where my blood sugar was, I had to keep it pretty low. And sometimes, well, a lot of times it was so low that I would end up having low blood sugar. So one of the things that my doctor ordered me to do was to call your husband every day at 11 o'clock and let him know that you're okay. So if you don't call, he knows something's wrong. He can call an ambulance, get home, and see about you. So I was, and it wasn't a problem. It wasn't a big deal. I don't call my husband's job or his desk. I just call my husband's cell phone or text him and stuff, because he's got his phone on him all the time. So he always sees it. So between him and my mom, I was doing that. And so when all this came about, my husband was very taken aback, just as I was. He was, the day I called him, the day of the miscarriage, he left work. I was talking, and then the next thing you know, he's like, okay, I'm on my way. And he hung up the phone, and then the next thing I knew, he was there at the hospital and stuff with me, and stuff. And, in the same throes of grief and sadness that I was in. So he also had something to handle. And it's sort of weird when traumatic things happen to you kind of as a pair, because you're trying to figure out how to be supportive of the other person while still trying to figure out how to deal with your own grief and mourning during that time. and stuff. And so I'm mourning this situation. He's mourning this situation and stuff. And he becomes extremely supportive of me. My husband is very good in a crisis situation. I've never seen anybody, that, just, sometimes on regular days, I'm sometimes like, huh, what are you doing? And stuff. But during a crisis situation, he's like on it, like immediately. He's at his best, and stuff, and does everything you need, make sure everything is okay and stuff. And so it becomes, it's really easier for you and everything. So, and it was really easier for me. He made it a lot less stressful and stuff. He gave me time. He let me talk about and vent my feelings about the situation, cry, and, and be strange or whatever as it was that I was grieving. He was there every time I needed to do something. He was there, trying to make sure that, because for about 2 weeks, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I didn't really I was in the house. I didn't really, take a shower and everything, but it wasn't like I was getting up, going anywhere or doing anything and stuff. I was just sort of in a little bit of a daze and a fog for a while and stuff, and mourning this, kind of mourning the situation that had happened. And he would come in from work every day and stuff, or either he'd bring something to eat or he'd make dinner, and then he'd be like, "Can I run you a bath?" And I was just like, "No, no, no, I don't need anything like that. I do all that stuff sort of myself. But anything I needed, he was there for, to try to make sure you need your feet rubbed, a massage or whatever." And he was so sweet and so nice, and it was so nice to have that support. And I remember I told you all previously how one of the parts of me being sad the day of the miscarriage was at the thought that someone else was having a miscarriage probably at the same time or around the same time during the day somewhere, and they didn't have any support, or they had someone who was sort of absent from them, and not emotionally supportive of them as they went through a traumatic situation. Now, being alone is one thing, but being alone in a marriage is another, and stuff. And being alone in a marriage is harsh, and stuff. And believe me, I'm not talking about stuff I don't know about. In my previous marriage, I was alone in a marriage. I was doing work and doing stuff all by myself. I was trying to make a marriage work all alone. And there is no other, there's just a feeling of just other, just absolute pain and just hopelessness and just absolute, it's dread and just sadness and resentful, and you're angry. It's a lot of emotions all at the same time, trying to be in a marriage alone with no support. It's one thing about the bills and this and that, but when you need emotional support, that's one of the things about having a husband or a wife, is that they're there for emotional support. So when times are getting really rough for you, there's someone that you can lean on and have a soft place to fall when you're in that relationship and stuff, and you're interdependent on one another. But there may be times that it's just whatever's going on is just too much, and you need to sort of depend on this person to help you through that situation. Now, you don't become dependent forever, but through that situation, that they help you and stuff. And I'm totally supportive of my husband. And the best thing is he's supportive of me, when it was time for me to decide to work or not to work or whatever, or the stuff about being pregnant or my diabetes and stuff, when he was, work the job that he works and stuff. We just do stuff to try to support each other. But at this point, I needed him. I needed to be more dependent on him. I really did need him. I just was kind of didn't know what to do. I was lost and sort of confused, and I didn't really know how to proceed, and I didn't really know what to do with myself. And I'm just sort of getting back to the point where I'm kind of figuring out, okay, this is what you're going to do with yourself in the meantime, and stuff. And he was, he's just been, for me going to the therapist. He's there as a therapist and he's supporting me. For us having the memorial, he's there during that. For anything that's going on, he's there to help me through it. Now, if you're in a relationship right now, a dating relationship, and you have a person and something traumatic happens to you, you lose a job, you lose a parent, or a sibling or some other family member, something really traumatic happens to you, and you can't depend on that person to help you during that time. They're not of any emotional support at all, and stuff. Because if you can't be of emotional support, so forget about somebody being of any financial support or anything like that. You can just squash that, and stuff. But you can't be there emotionally. You can't be there at least for the person to sort of lean on your shoulder, and you can't lean on them and depend on them during that time. I would suggest that you maybe make a move and go somewhere else. There is, like I say, there's not like every day is a traumatic moment. Most days are good. So most days we're happy and everything is up and, or we're okay, and stuff. And everything's okay. We're doing okay. But it's during those times where things are really bad that you really sort of figure out who it is that you're dating or married to. Okay. That's when you figure it out. Not when time, hey, everybody's good when times are good. I mean, when times are happy and good, hey, everybody's good. Everybody's, they're more than, they're more than enough. Then at those moments, when it's all good and gravy, yeah, everybody's good, and stuff. But what are they when you may be having issues with your family members or issues on a job, or you may have had a loss of, someone close to you or something like that. Something traumatic happens to you, or you may have had maybe a crime or something committed against you and stuff. Where are they then? What do they do then? If people are running and hiding and talk about, well, I got other stuff to do, or I really can't talk about that right now. That's just too much for me. Yeah, that good. If that's too much for you, if that's too much for them, good, fine, all well and good, and stuff. If you can't handle that, I'm not going to try to make you handle it. But you as a person need to move away because you don't want to have to be by yourself when bad things happen. You know, you don't want to be in a marriage and you're looking over there and hoping that somebody would support you or come and say, I love you. It's going to be okay, and stuff. We'll get through this, we'll get through this. What can I do to make this better for you? How can I help you? So that he would tell me, well, how can I? And sometimes I was just like, I just don't want to talk, and stuff. Or sometimes I did want to talk and stuff, and he was always there. It was always what it was that I needed at that time. And then there was a little while after kind of I was coming out of a fog and I thought to myself, my husband also needs support because he also lost a child. So I just, and stuff. And so I was like, well, what can I do for you? You've been supporting me and stuff. And the thing about doing this is that you're giving. Listen, let me tell you this again. Okay, and I know I might have said this before. Relationships are about giving. They're not about taking. If you're getting in a relationship to take, please don't get in that relationship. Please don't do nobody like that. Please, please, please. Relationships are about giving. And if you're in a marriage, in a committed relationship, that's supposed to be the time you're giving. And I mean really giving. With the sort of heart of almost a servant, where you're just giving, giving, giving. But giving should never leave you with nothing to give. So if you're giving, 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 and you're not, and nothing's being reciprocated, usually that leaves you empty. At some point, it's too much. You don't have anything else to give because nothing else is coming back and sort of filling you up. Giving is sort of a circle where it kind of goes you give and then it'll come back and it'll do that. It's supposed to always be like that and stuff. And so if you're in a relationship, your first thought should be giving, and stuff, not getting. Now there should be it should be reciprocation, but you shouldn't be really giving to get. That's just a part of an unhealthy boundary. If you're giving to get, then you're really not giving. You're not doing anything. You're really trying to control people and trying to control their actions and stuff. Now, the thing is, I give to my husband because my husband gives to me. And we just kind of go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm never at a loss for giving with this man. Ever, 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 ever. I just want to give and give. And I've said it before, I don't think I give him enough. I think I could do more. And he's always like, you give me so much. And I'm just thinking, I don't think I do enough and stuff. But it's this sort of thing where it's this giving. And so he's giving me so much. He's just giving me so much, and stuff. And during this time, I couldn't really express, it's hard for me to even express to him and tell him how much I love him and thank him for what he's done for me during this time, and stuff. Because yes, I know there were people out there who probably had a husband that was not of any emotional support while they were having a miscarriage. I know that was happening and stuff. And that's a feeling makes my heart hurt because I know how that feels, not to have that happen in a marriage, but to have somebody that you need them and they're just not even there. They have no interest in supporting you at all, and stuff. And it's a horrible, horrible feeling, especially when you're going through something traumatic and everything. So if you're out there and you're figuring some stuff out, or you're thinking about your own relationship and you're figuring some stuff out and stuff, there's nothing like being married or dating a giver. It's just, you'll just, it'll never get old. You'll never not want, there's nothing like that. Somebody who gives freely, somebody who gives without condition, and stuff. Somebody who loves you unconditionally. Yeah, there's nothing like that in the world. Nothing. That feeling will never ever be beat ever. Nothing like it and stuff. And so if you're in a relationship and you've had something traumatic happen, and then all of a sudden you had an absent partner, and really, not only are they absent, but when traumatic stuff happens to you, they expect for you to be there. You have a problem. And you should really think about whether or not you want to stay there, because that problem will not get better. I'm just telling you the truth. It'll probably not get better. Not without some deep marriage therapy and stuff. And I just, this is not only to tell some people about having a marriage and what it means to support somebody through a bad situation, but this is also sort of a thank you to my husband, Matt Bird, who is the most wonderful husband in the whole wide world. And I know lots of people have wonderful husbands too, but I've got the most wonderful husband for me. You know, I couldn't imagine not having him here and stuff, and how wonderful he's been. And so this weekend I've been away, and the weird part is when I got back home, I was away for Friday and Saturday, and I came home on Sunday, and he was so happy to see me, and I was so happy to see him, and he was hugging me, and he was kissing me, and he was telling me how much he loved me, and there's nothing like being missed. 2 days I'm away, you know, and stuff. I mean, lots of people are away for weeks and come home and don't get that kind of reception. I'm away 2 days, and I missed him too, and I was happy to see my husband. And he was like, well, next week I'm going to take you out to a nice dinner and everything. And so I'm just, it's that sort of thing of having that sort of love and support in a marriage, especially during this time, because there's still times that I'm in the throes of grief about this miscarriage. It kind of comes and goes. There are times that I'm okay, and then there are times that I'm not okay. and stuff, and I'll probably never be the quite the same again and stuff. But it's just nice that if I'm not okay, he's not like, oh, again and stuff. It's not, there's no impatience. There's always patience with me to go through whatever process it is that I need to go through. And I'm so thankful for that. So I want to thank him for the good times. I also want to thank him for the support during the bad times, because he makes those less traumatic for me and less bad for me, and stuff. Having him there, he at least, part of having him there and God gifting him to me is to help me. It allows me to have some peace even through a traumatic situation. And so I'm so thankful to him for that. And I just wanted to kind of tell you guys that, but also tell you, yeah, what it means about marriage and support. There's a thing about, marriage and being supportive, and stuff. And like I say, it's easy to support people during the good times. But what happens when you have tough times, and stuff? And it can really tell you stuff about yourself and about a marriage. So I will talk to you all later on this week. Probably. You all have a good rest of your evening. Okay. Bye bye.